How would you feel if your parents were able to choose which traits you would have before you were born? Would you feel cheated? Would you feel unoriginal?
Hello, and welcome to Royal Point Academy's very first film festival. My name is Tori, and this is my partner, Faith. Our innovative documentary is about the past, present, and future of genetics, as well as the controversy it has caused in today's world.
The reason we chose genetics is because I'm interested in the idea and potential, while Tori wants to have a career in the field of genetics. A lot of research went into this project. We emailed over 11 geneticists, but only 3 responded back.
The interviewing process was at first daunting. We had to first set up a time that would work both the interviewees and us, gain transportation, dress professionally, set up technical equipment, test sound quality as well as picture quality, and finally begin filming.
We then had to start the process of importing our videos into iMovie, and then also start a story of that process. Based on our interviews, we decided that we'd go in the direction of controversy because, in this world, there is a lot of fighting going over the issues surrounding genetics.
Now, without further ado, we invite you to watch our documentary.
Mendel, T.H. Morgan, Rosalind Franklin, and Watson and Crick. What do all these people have in common? They all have contributed to the modern acceleration of genetics. Genetics is the study of how mothers and fathers pass down their traits to their children, which is otherwise known as heredity. The study of genetics began with Gregor Mendel's work with pea plants. Mendel discovered that there are dominant and recessive traits. He did this by crossbreeding 2 types of pea plants. One was yellow and another was green. When they bred, the offspring were mainly composed of green pea plants. This proved that the green trait within the pea plant was dominant over the yellow pea plant. After his work, 2 scientists by the name of Watson and Crick made a revolutionary discovery that would change genetics forever. They took a leap forward by suggesting that the DNA molecule was made of 2 chains of nucleotides, each in a helix where one side is going up while the other is going down. With their research, geneticists were able to understand our DNA better, which led to the technology that enabled scientists to sequence our genome.
Now we have sequencing. You can take a very small amount of a biologic sample and sequence the entire genome.
The Human Genome Project began in 1990, and its primary goal was to determine the sequences of each base pair in the DNA, and also to store this information. With the completion of the Human Genome Project, many other projects have been started, which will become the future of genetics.
The biggest benefit to genetics in our society will be the ability to sequence people's genomes, and if they get sick, to target treatments directly to their genes. And by sick, I mean something that is genetically controlled, like a predisposition to cancer or diabetes or other disorders that we think have a large genetic component. And so eventually treatments will be targeted to your personal genome.
Genetics will greatly change the way we diagnose and treat disease. Genetics has already enabled us to look at medicine differently. Many genetic disorders portray the same symptoms and, in the past, doctors would misdiagnose patients. This greatly changed when sequencing the genome was introduced into medicine. With genetic information, doctors are able to see which genes have changed or are missing, which gives them the tools to make a better diagnosis. And when doctors make the correct diagnosis, it can sometimes change the patient's life.
There is a reaction that is like, wow, that's a relief. We've made a diagnosis. Now we understand why, this child has developmental problems.
Many revolutionary sciences are surrounded by controversy, and genetics is no exception.
Currently there's a lot of controversy around genetic testing, and the main controversy are later onset conditions that your genome could predict that perhaps you might develop Alzheimer's disease. And they're worried that people would spend the rest of their lives anticipating or waiting for the onset of some of these conditions, such as Alzheimer's or cancer conditions. I think, this will likely go away as we have treatments for these disorders.
A reason why genetics is being widely debated is because scientists have the potential to create designer babies. This would enable the parents to choose which traits their child would have. But the question is, if we have the technology to do these things, should we?
There's also the question about sort of prior to birth, who decides who is genetically fit. There's been a lot of bad press around anything involving who's genetically fit or unfit, and especially when you're dealing with issues, that are prenatal.
Also, genetics gives us the power to change our own future health. Although it gives us this power, some diseases and disorders, as of now, are not treatable. At this moment, this is a big drawback to genetics.
I think that genetic testing is also going to be able to just give us more information about our general health. Are we predisposed to diabetes or heart disease or things like that?
We sincerely hope that genetics will be able to cure incurable diseases in the future. Scientists are already working on ways for us to do this, and one day it will become a reality. Now think about the future of genetics. When we get there, will you be ready?
Based on your total experience, we had to manage many different projects. We have our own science and or English projects that we have to get done while working on the Doors of 2063 project.
Throughout this whole process, we have learned many lessons, but one of the ones that stands out to both Tori and I is the ability to adapt to change. Throughout this project, we've had to adapt to changing our script, storyboard, video, and the idea that we wanted.
Thank you for watching our documentary, and we hope you enjoyed the others as well. But please have a lovely rest of the evening.